both remotely and in person. We do go back to in person. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Jessica to take it away.
All right, thank you. And thank you all for being with us this afternoon. My name is Jessica Hayes, and I am an active classroom certified trainer. I have been with Social Studies School Service for about 6 to 7 years now. And for them, I conduct trainings like these. I have created curriculum maps, I write blog posts, and I also host and present webinars. I am an English language arts teacher at Fort Payne. It's in Alabama. And I'm also certified in social science education. I was actually a social science teacher first, and I am now an English language arts teacher. With me today is Carol Hill. She is my support, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. Carol?
Hi, I'm Carol Hill. I'm in San Antonio ISD, and I've been in education for a while, and I've taught middle school mostly for 6, 7, and 8. But for the past 5 years, I have been an instructional specialist for our district. So I get the pleasure and honor of working with 9 of our different campuses with the teachers in 6 through 8 social studies.
Well, thank you all again for being with us. Carol, again, is going to be fielding your questions. So if you have a question throughout the presentation this evening, please feel free to type it in the chat box. If I need to speed up or slow down, please let us know.
Okay, and just real quick so that y'all are aware, I am putting in your student, when you log in as a student, I just put it in the chat. So David Sprinkle, I've got you student 2 at hayes.edu, Jason Romine, student 3, Shayla Beck-Smith, student 4, and Mr. Galaxy Phone, I didn't quite catch your name. So if you get to a place where you are able to safely join us online, you will be student 5. And I called you Mr. Galaxy, I hope that's okay.
Thank you, Carol. You don't have to log in right now as a student. I will have a slide up when it is time, and I'll have the format again of what you would put in to log in as a student. But here are some session norms real quick. Make sure your microphones are muted. Your camera should be on if it's possible. And then again, just interact using the chat features. If you have tech issues, questions, or comments, please let us know. Again, if I need to go faster or slow down, please let us know about that as well. So here is our agenda. At first, we're going to be just going through Active Classroom, how to search for activities and how to assign those activities to students. And so at that point, you can either watch my screen or you can log in into your teacher account and follow along with me. Then we're going to log in as a student, and we're going to look at different tools that students will need to be able to complete assignments. We're going to take a short break. And then when we come back, we are going to look at grading and the grade book, and then you're going to get a chance to actually explore Active Classroom in your teacher account. Also, so this session is going to be recorded. If you need help, you didn't get something, so not only is this being recorded, we do have a great help page that I will show you at the end of this training. A quick way to get there is the question mark in the top right corner. There is a downloadable teacher's guide there, and there's also a lot of short videos, how-to videos that can walk you through a lot of how to use Active Classroom. It's a really great page. It can answer most, if not all, of your questions. And we also have a contact us button that will connect you with our help department. And they are really quick at getting back. I had a question this past weekend, like a Saturday night and around 9 o'clock, and they got back to me. And I was actually pretty amazed they got back to me that quick. So just really quickly, I wanted to go over what exactly Active Classroom is. And so Active Classroom is an online digital platform that contains thousands of inquiry-based activities used to promote the social studies. You can search for, create, and assign all of these activities within this platform. So it is very easy to use out in the digital world, but it's also easy to use in your own classroom. And you can also customize and differentiate your activities to fit all of the learning needs of your students. And I will talk about how to differentiate in this training as well. So here are just some of the activities that you're going to have access to. We have decision making, readings, tons of primary sources, video analysis, image analysis, simulations, and that's just to name a few. So you are about to have all this at your fingertips ready to go. And I think I actually counted it up last night. It is over 1,000 activities that are inside Active Classroom. All right, so now I'm going to switch over and I'm going to log into Active Classroom. So at this point, you can either follow along with me or you can log into your own teacher account. So if you do not have access to your teacher account, if there's a problem there, you will need to contact your district IT person. Is that correct, Laura? That would be correct. Okay, yes. So if you're having trouble with your teacher account, you don't have one, please contact your IT. All right, so really quick, if you could, in the chat box, type in some topics that you will be covering with in the next week, next 2 weeks, just some topics that you would like to see activities covered. You would like to see some activities. I'm about to show you how to search for these activities and then how to assign them to students.
So far, we've got organized labor, labor unions, early river valleys, religion. The two for labor.
Labor unions, religion, River Valley.
Yes, ma'am. Early river valleys.
Okay. Anything else?
That's what we've got so far. And I know Mr. Stabus is busy driving.
Okay, well, let me know if you see anything else, but we will go with these topics first.
Okay.
So here is, when you log in, here's your home page, and you're going to see all your navigational tools on the left-hand side. So to get to the activities that you have access to, you will click on the activities icon on the left-hand side. And go ahead and clear this search. So there are different ways that you can search for activities within Active Classroom. So probably the basic way is through just the keyword search. So I'm going to type in River Valley. Okay, so with River Valley, this is all the different activities that you get. So on each page, there are 20 activities devoted to each page. And so we have 3 pages worth of activities. So here are the river valleys, but if you wanted to be even more specific, like Mesopotamia, that could probably even narrow your search even further. You see, we have 3 pages dedicated to Mesopotamia. So that is the first way. To view these activities, you'll just hit the view button. It's this eyeball on the right-hand side. So you would just hit that button, and now you can view and see if that is what you want for your students. You can also assign. There's the assign icon, and I will show you that here in a little bit. And then you also have a star. If you start liking, there's some activities that become your favorite. You can actually star these activities, and you can find them in your favorite section, and I will show you that as well. The select button actually collects all your activities together within one unit, so you could kind of create folders for yourself. If you have certain activities that you teach in a certain order, you can create them in a folder here. And so we call them activity sets. You would just name your activity set. And then if you wanted to find it, it will be under the tab Activity Sets. So I just wanted to show you that really quickly. So that is the first way to search, is just through the keyword search. However, you can also search through the advanced bar. This is in the right-hand corner. So you can narrow your search down even further, because 3 pages still is kind of a lot. So you can narrow it down by world history and then theme. You can even search by series title and activity type. So let's look at an image analysis. So here we have debating the documents, history unfolding. These are 2 of my favorite activities. And I'll talk more about history unfolding in a little bit. But so debating the documents, I kind of just wanted to highlight this activity for you really quick in case you wanted to use it in your classroom. Debating the documents, let's view it real quick. So with this one, it is you have visual primary sources and written primary sources. And usually these primary sources that you're given, so you see the visual primary source on the left-hand side, and you have 2 different documents. And usually these documents are conflicting. So you will have students read about what's in this image, analyze this image by answering the questions, and then they would do the same thing with the visual primary source document too. So basically you could even stop right there with this activity if you wanted to, have them look at these documents, analyze them, talk about what this tells you about this time period. But then this activity also steps up the rigor, and you can compare the 2 documents. Which one would be more helpful or useful to a historian trying to understand this particular time period? Would it be document 1 or document 2? So students have to make that decision. And then with the comparison essay, they have to actually explain their decisions. Why did they pick document 1 over document 2? Or why did they pick document 2 over 1? So this is a favorite of ours. So here we have visual primary source 1 and 2 that was conflicting. And then here they have visual primary source 3 and 4. So usually with this particular activity, it will have 2 visual primary sources and 2 written primary sources. So, but on this particular activity title, all of it is visual primary sources. So this is called debating the documents. And I just kind of wanted to highlight that for you. All right, let's try religion.
Jessica.
Yes.
So Jason was having a little difficulty following where you went. He's in his teacher account. So I told him just go to debating the documents, and that was from hunter-gatherers to farmers and herders, correct? The last one you went to?
Yes. So
Okay.
yes, the debating the document. So if there is a series title that you like, you can type it in. And all these will appear. But I found that particular one just through an advanced search. It was just a random one that I found. So I believe I clicked world history.
Mm-hmm.
I believe emergence of societies, or yes, emergence of societies.
And then you went to activity type, I think.
Yes. Image analysis. And then here was debating the document. So I was just kind of narrowing our search down even further. So yeah.
Jason, I hope you got caught up with that.
So do I need to repeat any steps or anything?
I'm sorry, I was I was back over in mine again. I apologize. Do you mind just doing that one more time? I'm really sorry. I'm just gonna watch your screen now.
No, no, it is fine. So I was just doing an example of how to search with the advanced settings. So I was just kind of picking some random topics, but so I hit subject, world history. And this just helps, the advanced search just kind of helps narrow down your search, your activity choices.
Okay.
And then I chose era and theme. And then I chose an activity type. And you don't have to do the search this way every time, but I just did it just to show y'all. And I chose image analysis.
Okay.
And I hit the magnifying glass. And then now I have all of the activities that are image analysis for this particular time period.
Got it. Okay, I got it. Thank you. It was the part that I was missing was the advanced search.
Okay,
The step that I kept missing. So now I've got it. Thank you very much. Sorry.
you're welcome. No problem. Anybody else have any questions?
We're here for you, Jason, so it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. All right, let's look at labor unions. All right, we have a few activities on that shows up for labor unions, 2 pages.
Jessica, do you maybe want to talk about the icons on the left that will help them understand what they're seeing on this page, the different selections?
Thank you. Yes. So if you see a book, all these different icons just kind of tell what the activity type is. So if you see a world, it's going to be an atlas or a mapping activity. The gavel is a decision making. If you see the play button, that's usually a video. And then the book is for reading. And then you can also see these icons as well. If you go to the advanced search and then you click on activity type, it shows you all of these icons and what they mean as well. So there's a lot more than what you're just seeing here on this search, on the labor union search. So here, the 2 people, that usually means it's some type of simulation. Here, sometimes this with the person and the lightning bolt, it sometimes means it's like a study type activity. And then here we have the microphone, and that would be a song or music. So again, to know what those icons mean, go to the advanced search and then activity type, and it will show you all the different icons and what they mean. All right, I am going to show you how to assign a lesson if there's not any other questions about how to search for your activities. Carol, do you think we're good?
I haven't had any other questions, so I think we're good to go.
All right.
I just was going to put in the chat that when you see the little outside of the head with the lightning bolt, that also usually means that there's primary sources involved, and it's a very student-centered lesson.
Yes. All right. If you find an activity you would like to assign to students, that is pretty simple. What you will do is you will choose the assign icon, the little person. So I'm going to click everyday life. This is a reading. Labor unions, I'm going to click the little person. And so basically you just fill this page out now. You need a due date. So I'm going to say it's due on Wednesday. And then an unlock date. So the unlock date, you will probably want to unlock it the day that you assign it. So that means it's just the day that students have access to it, that they can see this activity. Then do you want to show the grades as points or percentage? Then down here, you can choose, do you want to select all of the activities or just partial? Is there some of those activities that you want to assign, or just all of it, or just a few? So here with everyday life, usually there's a big reading and then there's several activities to go along with that reading. So maybe I don't want to assign all of those activities. If you need reminding what one of those activities look like, you can actually click on, like I can click on reading here. And now I can see what that looks like as a reminder. So maybe I got confused. Which activity do I want to assign? I click on it and it shows me what it is. All right, then you choose your class. You'll just need to click the arrow. So you can choose to assign these activities to a class, to particular students, or to student groups. So I chose my demo class. And so once you see the name over here appear, you know that it's going to that particular class. And then in the top, you can type in student instructions. Do you want them to read for the main idea and supporting details? Do you want them to highlight questions that they have, information they don't understand, things they find interesting or shocking? You can put that all in the student instruction box. So that leads me to highlights. Students do have a highlighting option, and I will show you how to use that when we log in as a student. So let's say you want students to please highlight the main idea of the reading in red and the supporting details in green. So then you will need to make sure your highlights match your instructions. So to do that, you would hit Customize Highlights. So here, you have 4 pre-made highlights already, and this is what will appear with every activity are these 4 highlights. But you can create your own. However, if you do create your own, you're going to have to do it with each activity that you assign. So it's these 4 pre-made that will appear with each one. And then if you create your own, you'll have to do that each time. So my colors, I say main idea in red and supporting detail in green. So mine, main idea and supporting details do not match. So I can delete the highlights here. I'm going to say main idea. Then choose a highlight color. So I'll choose red, what kind of really looks more like pink, but red. And then click Add Highlight. And so now you have your new highlight created. Now I'm going to create supporting details in green. And then Add Highlight. And once you're done creating all of your highlights, you will hit Done. And that's what students will see when they use the highlight icon. So does anybody have any questions about how to fill out this assignment box? Do I need a review over anything?
No, but I would ask, could you show them how they could assign, like there's 3 different activities or 4 there, that you could actually assign a different activities to different groups. Someone had asked about that and I told them they could, because
Okay.
they have to go through the whole thing again for each group.
Okay, so if they wanted to assign an activity to a group, let's see, so let's say we're assigning this one. So group and then blue group. And so that you would just go to the groups tab, assign which group it's going to go to, and then click Save Assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save Assignment. And then if you want to assign, let's say, to solve some work-related math problems, you want to assign this activity to a different group, you'll have to go back in and assign it to the new group. So Carol, do you know, I don't have as much, that is how I would do it. Do you know of a different way, Carol?
I don't. As far as I know, that's how it has to be done. Miss Marvel did get back to us that the classes should be auto rostered. So you will have usually your classes, and they might either be listed by their course number or by class period. That depends on how your district does rostering. So you would need to go in and make your groups. And the nice thing about making groups is it doesn't matter what period the kids are in. If you want to give one group in each class period the same activity with the reading, you can just have that be one group. And then you're only having to assign it once for all your periods to that group. And then go back and assign it, let's say, to the green group. But you can overlap group members in different classes. So that's the nice thing about being able to create your own groups. Or if you have beginning ESL students, beginning intermediate, you could assign them the same content, but with a lesson that maybe doesn't have such rigorous reading, maybe some image analysis with some shorter text. So you have that option as well when you create your groups.
Yes, and I will show you how to create groups as well. So yes, you would just, so if you're going to different groups, you would just have to assign each group their activity individually. So this activity would go to the blue group. I would hit Save Assignment. And then I would have to go back in and do it again for the red group or the yellow group and assign their own particular activities to them. So when you save that activity, it has now been assigned to students. And when you see this well done, green well done bar, you know that it is good to go. But then you are also given this link here. And so then you can actually copy and paste that link into your Google Classroom. And students can actually access the assignment from there. They will still have to log in, but that makes it just a little bit easier for them to find their activities if you would like to copy and paste that link into Google Classroom. So any other questions, Carol?
Not at this time, but I did want to also let you know that if you have Clever, which I believe Miss Marvel said you all did, or ClassLink, that as long as Active Classroom is on your ClassLink, your sign in, then once your students sign in there, it should take them to Active Classroom if it's one of the apps in that system where they sign in.
So it should take them there immediately and they won't have to log in, right?
Correct, because they'll already be logged in to their Clever or ClassLink.
Great. All right. One more thing I wanted to show you before we actually go and we're logged in as a student is the atlases that you have access to. So you also have access to atlases if you need it. So to go back to your home page, you can click on this Active Classroom A here, or these three buttons you can use to choose your navigational icons here. So I'm going to click on Atlases. And so here are the different atlases that you have access to and that students can view and you can teach from. So you have US History, World, and Texas History, and there's also Desk and World Atlas. So if you would like to assign any of these atlases to students, all you have to do is click the Share button beneath it. It says Share this atlas. And then you can choose the class that it goes to or the student it goes to and click Share. And then they have access to that atlas throughout the entire school year. So you only have to share it once with students. But I'll show you what an atlas would look like. So to view it, you just hit View the Atlas. So here's the US History. So now it looks just like a digital book. And you can flip through the pages. Kind of move forward ahead so you can see some of how it looks. Zoom in a little bit. Whoops, a little bit too farther. All right. So here's just an example of what some of the atlases would look like that you have access to. This is the US history one. And so you have access, there's activities called Atlas and US History, Atlas and World History. And so those are the interactive activities that students can do. And it's kind of the same information in both activities, but this is just a little bit more information in this Atlas. So I just wanted to show you that before we got into the student accounts. Does anybody have any questions about the Atlas?
You can actually, in your directions, you could connect a page from the Atlas or tell students to see a page in the Atlas if they need some further information.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's go ahead and log in as a student. I'm going to show you, here is the slide. Just go to activeclassroom.com and here is how you will log in. You would just say student and then the number that Carol gave you at hayes.edu and the password is password. I'll give you a few minutes to log in.
Let me know if anybody forgot their number. It's not letting me copy and paste your information again. Ah, there we go.
All right, is everybody logged in? Do we need to wait a few more seconds?
You want to give us a thumbs up if you're ready to go? Okay, Mr. Romine.
I'm trying to put in the password.
Password is the password. Okay. I think we're good. And password is the password.
Password is password. All right, so as you can see, when you log in as a student, it looks very similar to your account. So the first thing students see is their home feed. And this is where they'll see where they'll get notifications that they have been assigned a lesson. And they'll also see updates if you have edited a lesson as well. And then you also see on the left-hand side, they do not have as many icons as you do. They're just assignments and grades, maps, and discussions. So let's look at an assignment from the student point of view. So students can go to their activities through these links on their homepage. If you just click on these, but let's go to the assignments and grade icon on the left-hand side. All right, so the first activity I want us to look at first is the document-based assessments in U.S. History Level 2, Causes of the Revolutionary War. So one thing I do want to point out that I meant to when we were searching is where it says Level 2. So when an activity has Level 1 or Level 2, usually the Level 2 is these activities are appropriate for high school level. Level 1 is usually for middle school. So if you see document-based assessments level 2, you know, that is more appropriate for the high school students. All right, so for students to launch an activity, they will just hit this rocket right beside the activity they want to start. So click on the launch rocket beside document-based assessments in U.S. history. Okay, so this is what students will see when they log in. It's set up the same way. On the left-hand side is the table of contents. That's what it looks like in our teacher view as well. So to navigate any activity, you will just work through the table of contents on the left-hand side. Then on the right, we don't really see this in our teacher view, but on the right, this is a space for annotations, and I'm going to show you what that looks like as well here in just a little bit. So the very first thing we see is the home page of this particular activity. And I also wanted to point out on the teacher view, you have here on this particular activity, you can also have a teacher guide. A lot of these activities have teacher guides that will help you implement all these lessons. Not every single activity has one, but most of them do. All right, so real quick, I'll kind of want to just tell you what document-based assessment is. This one is one of my favorites to use. So document-based assessments, there's one for US history and it's also for world history. So with these, it actually, it helps students through the process of setting up an essay answer to a document-based question. So students, first, they will analyze primary and secondary sources to help them answer a DBQ. And then this activity walks them through the process of setting up their essay answer. So that's basically the gist of the document-based assessments. Typically, you would probably use this activity at the end of a unit since it is an assessment, but you can also use it in the middle if you want to give students a little bit more background information or you want to look at a particular document from this activity. One thing that I love about Active Classroom is just how flexible it is. You're really not beholden to a particular way of implementing a certain activity. Like I said, most of them do have teacher's guides and they can walk you through how to use it. But then you can also tweak these directions however you want to fit the needs of your classroom. So what I'm going to do first is just kind of show you how traditionally this particular activity would probably be implemented in the classroom, but then I'm also going to talk about ways that you can tweak it to fit your own needs. So like I was saying, students will first see this home page. It has directions for completing this activity, and then at the bottom it has a document-based question. So before I go any further, Carol, do we have any questions for me?
We are good. Jessica, you're good to go.
All right. Wasn't sure if I was going too fast or not. So typically what you would do is post the DBQ on the board, project it, and talk about it with your students, and then see what answers they come up with, and they post those answers on the board. Then you would assign them the primary and secondary sources in the table of contents. So they would go through and read these documents. As you can see, some of them are short, some of them are a little bit longer. So that one's just a little bit longer. They will read these documents and then they will analyze them by answering these questions. So we do have pictures as well. Then you can discuss, after they've analyzed these documents, they read them, you can discuss it as a class what they learned, and then they can go back and they can answer that DBQ. How are they going to answer this question now that they have analyzed these documents? What new information did they learn to help them answer the DBQ? So typically that's the order that you would go in. So for your own classroom, you can certainly implement it this way. But what you can also do is you can kind of differentiate based on these documents, or you can kind of tweak it to your needs. You can assign students independently all of these documents. You can assign them in pairs. Maybe you want to assign, break students into groups, give each group a different document to analyze, and then have students at the end come as a class discussion, have each group share their document. Or maybe you want to print these documents off, post them around the room, have students go and visit these documents, answer those questions silently on a sheet of paper maybe, or as a group, and just then come back and have a class discussion about it. Or maybe you just want to assign certain documents. Maybe you don't want to assign all of them, and that's perfectly fine. So again, you're not beholden to a certain way of implementing this. You can implement it how it fits best for your classroom. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to show you some tools that students may need to help complete any of the activities within Active Classroom. So real quick, while I'm thinking about it, because I did mention you can print off these activities. And to do so, you will see a printer icon in the top right corner. So here are the student icons. In your teacher view, you will not see all of these, but you will have a printer. So when you click on the print, you can select all and print all of the activities, or you can just print a few. Okay, so one thing that students will need to know is the annotation tool. So maybe you want students to actually highlight as they're reading. Maybe you want them to highlight as a kind of a guide for their thoughts. So maybe you told them to highlight information to help them answer the DBQ. All right, so let's say that they read this document and they're ready to highlight. So what students will need to do is first highlight the sentence they want to highlight. Then come into the top right corner and click on what looks like a highlighter, the Add Annotations tool. So now they will choose a highlight color and then click Save. And now we have a highlight. So as you see on the right-hand side, that this highlight has now appeared under the annotations column. And really that is helpful for you because when you go in and grade, you can actually follow along. You can, if you click on that particular highlight word here, it will scroll down to that particular annotation or that particular highlight.
May I add something really quickly, Jessica?
Yeah.
So if you notice when Jessica clicked on the highlighter, when it came up and she chose the color, there was also a space for annotations. So as you know, in high school, highlighting is kind of passive. So you want them to either make the connection as to why they highlighted it so you can see their thinking, because you can catch a lot of misconceptions there as well. So when they're highlighting, I would have them annotate as well if it's being student driven and not something you ask them to highlight with a specific color.
Exactly. So if they have a question or they don't understand something, they can highlight it. Again, click the icon, choose their highlighter, and then they can add in the annotation, I don't understand this, or I have a question. Whatever they need to type as annotation. Save, and then it'll appear in the annotations box. And so when you click on it, you can scroll down to the highlight to the sentence that is highlighted and see what they have a question about. So let's say students accidentally highlight something they didn't mean to, they can easily delete it. They just click on that highlight. Sorry, I didn't say that. You just click on your highlight, hit delete. Okay, and that will be taken away. So go ahead, if you are able to, as a student, go ahead and practice that highlighting tool. You can highlight some things, add in the annotation. Maybe you want to type in the box a little bit. So go ahead and practice with that. Carol, do you think we have any questions right now?
We just had a question about copyright and putting a PDF in the Google Classroom, which you can as long as it is a school Google Classroom, a district-owned Google Classroom. It has to stay, because that protects the copyright. But you can't take it and manipulate it and put it out as your own. You want to make sure that it is actually still, they know it's an active classroom activity. But the great thing about having them go to active classroom is they can interact with it. It'll read to them. You get a lot of interacting ability. It'll even translate. So I would really encourage you to use these lessons within active classroom, because I think it'll just be more user-friendly for your kids.
I'm glad Carol said it would translate, because I'm going to show you how to use the translate button, because some students may need that. You might have EL students, you might have struggling readers, and they can use this translate button. So here in the top right again, on the far right side, you have the text to speech button. So if you click on it, first I want to show you, here is the pointer button. So if you click on this, the pointer button that looks like a little finger, then you can click, students can select anywhere on the page, and that's where it will start reading.
This excerpt is from Considerations, a pamphlet written by Thomas Waitley.
All right, so that's one way that it can read it to them. We also have a translate button. So if students need it translated to a different language, they can. All they need to do first is to highlight what they want translated. So maybe they want this full paragraph translated. Then they click on the world. And right now the default is in Spanish, and so it will translate right now into Spanish, and I just have to hit the play button.
Este extracto es de Consideraciones, un folleto escrito por Thomas Waitley.
But you can also have it, you can change the translation if you need. So you can just go over here to the settings button on the far right, hit translations, and then we want to translate this from English into, and now we have like 20 or 30 different languages that this can be translated into. We also have some dictionaries. So if students do not understand a word, they need a definition, you can highlight, students will just highlight the word and then click on the book. This is our dictionary icon. And so here we have the different definitions, and it can also be read to them.
Noun. Sensitivity towards other people and what they are.
And now we also have an image dictionary as well. So if they need an actual picture of what something looks like. So I'm going to highlight colonist, and let's see what turns up with our picture dictionary. All right, so just one picture.
Colonists.
So that is our text-to-speech feature for students. Does anybody have any questions about how to use that function?
We're getting some interest in that question mark you told us about earlier about getting students trained. And I know you're going to get to that, but I just want to let you know we've got that interest going already.
Okay, great. Yes, so students also have a help page. You will see that question mark, and they can go there if they need help. And so they have their own videos. And I know of some teachers, you know, when you first start using active classroom with students, sometimes they take an active classroom day and they just walk through using active classroom with them and getting them comfortable with it. But they do have videos, they do have their own user guide. So they can view their user guide and flip through it. And this can answer probably every question that they're going to have. And then here are some frequently asked questions as well.
And you might even consider what we've tried doing with our students, it's working pretty well, is we will assign them 1 or 2 videos before we cover that part in a Zoom, so they have an opportunity to play with it a little bit before we actually cover it during class time.
All right, and then one last icon you have is the assignment forum. So if students click on it, it will pop up into a new page, a discussion board. So for each activity that you assign to students, a discussion board is created. And so they can come here, click on this general discussion. And here they can respond. Maybe they have questions. Don't understand document 1. Submit post. So you can respond back and forth. Students can answer other students. They can communicate through that discussion board if you would like. And then you can also create discussion boards that are separate from particular activities. And I can show you that later as well.
And also, as Jessica said, that you can assign different groups different assignments. The discussion board is a great place for them to put what they found, and then for other groups to have to go and interact and respond to a post from another group member.
Yes. All right. If you have had put some highlights here, maybe you typed in something into the answer box, please do so, and then click turn in assignment. That is how you will turn in, how students will turn in their assignments, is by hitting that green button. And the reason I want you to highlight and to actually type something in is because we're going to go in a little while after our break, and we're going to look at these activities as we are grading them. So you would just hit confirm, and students will not be able to go back and fix what they've turned in after they hit in that turn in assignment button, but you do have the ability to resubmit it back to them. And I will show you how to do that as well. All right, let's go back to the assignments and grades icon. There is another activity that I wanted to show you, and this one's kind of on down the line here, history unfolding. These are one of my favorites. So history unfolding, the European Renaissance in art. This is a world history topic, but history unfolding is targeted to US or world. I believe even government could be covered with this one. So let's hit the launch button. So history unfolding, I love this activity because you can use it as a unit starter. You can use it in the middle of a unit, but it is an image analysis activity, and it's targeted to a specific period in history, and it just gives students some background knowledge. But what it does, I'm going to go ahead and show you these illustrations. Students get background information on these particular images, and then they are guided through increasingly more complex, more sophisticated levels of analysis with the questions. So if you actually click on illustration 1A, 1B, this is where the questions generate. And there's only probably 3 to 4, but if you can see, it starts out more easy, and then it just gets increasingly difficult with question 2 and question 3. Oh, and this one has 4. There's a lot of different ways that I have used this particular activity in class. I have projected these images up on the board, and we've had a full class discussion about them. We'll answer these questions together, but we'll use them as a kind of a guide for discussion. I have also printed them off and posted them around the room with their background information and questions, and then the student group will go and visit each one, answer those questions, and we'll come back for a class discussion. And then you can just, with the traditional way and just, assign it online and have student pairs or individual students analyze these images. But one reason that I wanted to show you this activity is because of the image analysis tool. So when students have image analysis activities, they have tools to help them. So one is the magnifying glass, and that is what automatically is used first. So if you see down here below the image, there are 3 icons. And the first one that is highlighted is the zoom. So this is our default, what happens first. So students can zoom in on the image, different parts of it. The second icon is the enlarge. And this is how I present to students if we're doing this as a whole class activity. So they can enlarge it. And then the third button is the quadrant view. And so some questions may actually ask for students to look at, they might say, the upper right-hand corner of the image. And so for them to do that, they'll need the quadrant view. And then they will click the upper right-hand quadrant. And it just zooms in a little bit further. So those are the image analysis tools. Do we have any questions about using these tools or this activity in particular?
So far, so good. They could even use it as stations and assign each one of them separately and use those links. So the nice thing about that is you don't have to worry about how many stations and how many groups. You could even just divide your students up in pairs on Zoom randomly, and then the links are there, and they would just go to the links and go to all the quote unquote stations in active classroom, and then they can come back and have a conversation in the class.
Yes. I think this is probably a good place for a break. It is 6 o'clock. We have built in 10 minutes for a break. However, I wanted to show you in the student account, I have, if you go back to assignments and grades, I have assigned a lot of different activities to you. So we looked at the document-based assessments first. Here is a mapping our world. So this would be good for geography. And then I have the decision-making and histories, mysteries. This is for US. History unfolding, debating the documents is for a world history. And then I also have a We the People for government, and then the fundamentals of economics for econ. So if during the break, if you wanted to kind of look at these different activities and check it out, you definitely can. I just wanted to let you know that they are there. But yeah, Carol, you think we are ready for a break? So you can take the time, you can look at those activities if you want. And then when we come back, we will log back in as a teacher. And if you would type in the chat box, which the features that we have demonstrated so far, which will be most useful to your students. All right, so how about we'll be back at like what, 6:14?
That works for me.
All right.
Annotation abilities. Miss Beck-Smith, is there anything that you feel like, do you really like that you think your students, that it would work well for your students? Oh, there it is. Got it.
Oh.
Oh, I love histories, mysteries too. Oh my goodness, you picked two of my favorites.
Mhm.
Have you ever looked at the C3 inquiry?
No, what's the C3?
Well, it's kind of a big beast, I have to admit. But what I like about the C3 inquiry, you have your introductory essay, and then you have 4 different ways that you can connect to the content. You can connect through history, through civics, through geography, or economics. So you could actually divide your class into 4 groups and have each group do one of them. Or, oh, and there we go. Jessica's showing you over there. What I did though recently for one of my classes, for one of my teachers for her class, I just took the history group because there's a compelling question. And then there are usually three different documents, primary sources that the kids have to interact with and explain how those primary sources answer the compelling question. And it does a great job going through step by step, guiding the students. Well, right there you can see it's got step 1, step 2. And if it's a primary source in writing that's a little bit difficult to read, then Active Classroom also has what's called an adapted version. So the ones you're seeing here do not have the adapted version, and that just means that the primary source is not like that really high Old English, that formal language. So the kids should be able to access it okay. But they also will have images, primary, what do you call them? I want to say sideboard, and that's not the right word. Broadside. They'll have broadsides, different things like that. So I love this because then if you have kids who are new to English or students who are struggling readers, but they are really good at analyzing, then you can give them the shorter text or even the images. So it gives them, it allows them to be a part of the community of learning and also to share out what they've learned. It just gives them access when they are working maybe with only one other person or even independently. But the rigor, we've used this with special ed students, and because of the supports that are in Active Classroom, they love it because they actually feel like that they can work independently. And in many ways, this mirrors the way that Star Online will be done, you know, with the text to speech and the dictionary and things like that, and the speech to text. It just gets them used to hearing a, you know, computer read to them and having to highlight what they want and look for it, and just that interactive piece and not so passive with it. So that's one. Once you know, I love the ones you love as well. And the atlases, I like those, the Atlas of US History and Atlas of World History, because it's small chunks of text, but it's very rigorous with the maps and the charts and graphs. I just, yeah, so many good things about Active Classroom.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
decision.
I'm with you. And I try to use the atlases like today, even in with creating a foldable or trying to create a foldable for the ancient civilizations. I tell them to use that as a resource as well, because they can go in and it'll have like the different pegs automatically there. So like you said, even if the student is struggling with a particular language barrier, it's so just out there. It's just, here it is. Here's the answer. Put it in. So it helps.
Yeah, I like the supports that it offers, because once they have access to the information, then they can start working with the content to process it. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, do you need a quick break?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Me too. I'm gonna have to stand up for a minute. Woo.
Okay, right.
Whew. right, it is 6:15. See if Carol is back. There's Carol. All right. Let's go ahead and get back started. You should be logged in to your teacher account, or you can follow along with me. If you haven't already, please type in the chat box what features from Active Classroom that you think will be most useful for your students.
Well, Miss Becksmith likes the translation features from History Mysteries, and she likes debating the documents. And then Mr. Romine likes the annotation abilities.
Yes, all those are going to be so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's look at how to grade now. So you should be logged back into your account, and then you're going to go to Assignments and Grades. All right. So since we did the document-based assessments in US, let's go ahead and grade that. All right, so to grade, you'll just hit the grade icon. There's several, you can launch it, so you can look at the activity. You can go back and edit it if you need to. Maybe you need to add or take away instructions, but let's click on the grading icon. All right, and so here you will see, here are the student questions, the questions that students would answer, and then here are the expected answers. So if you assign a lesson to students that is multiple choice, Active Classroom will automatically grade that. However, since I assign a document-based assessments activity, there's not really any multiple choice in that, it's all short answer. So you are going to have to grade it. It will give you expected answers, and then it will give a student answer as well. So right now, you will see at the top, I have student 8's work showing, and student 8 did nothing. So if you click the drop-down button, you will see all of the students in your class and who has turned in work. So let's click on student 2. All right, so student 2, we see we have no student answers over here, which is fine. Oh, here we go. We have some answers right here with document 6. So you will see your student answer and how that compares to the expected answer. So if students got it correct, you will hit the check mark. If it's partially correct, you will hit the middle button, and then if it's wrong, you'll hit the X. So let's say all of this is correct. And then let's look at the grade on the top. So right now, student 2 got one question correct, and you'll see the grade has changed from a 1 out of 12. So the number 12 comes from how many questions there are in this activity. So with this particular assignment, so basically what it has done automatically, it's designated each question to be worth a point. So the value of each question is 1 point. However, you can change the value. So let's say down here, we'll scroll down to the DBQ. The DBQ, right, should be worth more than 1 point. So here we can add more value to it. However many point value you would like, maybe you want 10 points. Say it's correct. So now you will see that the grade has actually changed, where it did say 1 out of 12, it now says 11 out of 21. So you do not have to save anything as you go. Active Classroom is automatically going to save all of the grading that you do. If a student does not do well, you know, they did not put forth their best effort, maybe they want to retry, you can give them a new attempt. All you have to do is hit the new attempt button. Assign a new due date. And then right here under selections, we already have student 2 that it's going to. If you need to reassign this to other students, you can do that as well. And then just hit save. You can also view the student's work. And this is where you can see the highlights. So you would just hit the view button. So here we see their answers here. It doesn't look like there has been any annotations. No highlighting done. Oh, student 2. I'll forgive you.
Jessica, I have a quick question. I cannot remember the answer to it. It says if you change the point value, does it change it for all students? I thought it did, but I wanted to check with you.
Let's go back. I'm pretty sure it will.
Okay.
So right now we have 11 out of 21. Let's choose a new student. Yes, it has changed it for all students. All right, let's look. We'll look at student 1. We'll view their work. So now as a teacher, you can see the highlight. And you can actually respond. So if they have an annotation here, I don't understand this, I don't have a question, you can respond to their annotations. You will just click on the highlight. You can type back, see me after class. You can say anything, maybe they need to redo something. I don't know if
Put
you
a
want to.
link for them to go find information?
Yes. So you can respond and then hit save changes. And now students will see that they have a bell right here. It's a notification that they have a response from you. So if you still want to see students' work in this view, you do have a drop-down box and you're able to do that. You can just drop down to the students' work you would like to see. And so now we're viewing student 2.
And then Jessica, the microphone over on the right in the annotations, isn't that where the teacher can respond orally and it'll record it for them and the student can hear it?
Let's see, I have not ever tried that. I think as far as I am aware, that's still just the text-to-speech function, but Carol, you may know of a function I do not know.
Well, I'm talking about the microphone, like where it says annotations down there, that the teacher is actually able to respond and have it recorded for the student.
Okay, so this is actually this microphone.
Yes.
That is actually a Google extension that I have added to my Chromebook. And yeah, you can, it's called, I believe it's called Talk and Comment extension. But yes, you can use that microphone to speak, and then you can link it, the instructions here.
Okay, because I think Active Classroom also has a microphone, and maybe it's on the feedback for the grading. Okay. Because Pam is somewhere, but that's okay.
I'm not aware of one, but that is something I can definitely look into. All right, so that is how you will grade. Is there any other questions about grading?
Nothing in the chat at this time.
All right. So for your grade book, once you have graded all of your students' assignments, they will appear in the grade book. So we'll click on the grade book tab. And so here you will see all of your grades. Here, student 2 has an 11 out of 21 on the document-based assessments. Student 8 has a 0 out of 12. We're doing really well here. So this one did not change, but yes, usually they will all change, but for some reason that did not change here. I think it's because I had already graded it before I changed it here. But so right now, after you grade, students are still not able to see their assignments or their grades for their assignments. So for them to be able to see it, what you will need to do is go to this particular title, hit the drop-down box, and hit Publish Grades. All right, so well done. And we see that this red drop-down has turned green. And at that point, we know that students are now able to see their grades. So that's basically all you need to know about the gradebook. You can export your data and it will export to a spreadsheet if you need it. All right, do we have any questions about grading or the gradebook?
Does anybody need to see how she got to this page again, or are we all good?
I didn't see how, I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I got an email from my boss and I had to look at that. So, sorry, can you do that again?
Yes. So you'll just go to assignments and grades. So you can go there through the home page or through your 3 button drop down here. So it's just going to be under assignment and grades. And then you will grade the activity. And so here now, you're able to grade. You can see the student answers, what their answers are. This one did not type in any answers, but you can compare it to the expected answer that Active Classroom will give you. And then grade, is it correct, incorrect, or partial? So you'll just go down the line grading each one, and then it will automatically save. Then you can also view it.
The thing that I really missed, or I was most curious about, was how to, once I've graded it, how do I export it to something else?
Okay, so if when you're on this page, you can go to Gradebook. So it's the Gradebook tab in the middle. Then here, you will publish your grades to students. Here, I've already published that, but if you hit there, publish grades, students will be able to see it. And then you'll just hit the green export data button. And so then a spreadsheet will download to your computer. So then you're able to, then you would have to manually, type those grades into whatever grading interface that you have. But any other questions? Carol, do you think we are good to move on?
We are good to move on. I just texted you. Pam responded that in the mapping series, you can record teacher feedback, but that's the only one. That must have been the one that she showed me.
Okay, yes, mapping. All right. I did say I would show you the discussions, and I believe I said I would show you how to assign student groups. So let's do that now. So to assign student groups, you will go to Manage Students from the home page. And so as soon as you click that button, you will see your classes that have been created. There's a tab for groups and then a tab for students. So your classes will already be created, your students will already be in. The only thing that will not be created is your groups. So you will need to click the Groups tab in the middle. Then the green New Student Group button. You can name mine Red Group. And then you'll click Add Existing Students. And then you'll add the students that you want to add to that particular group by clicking on this arrow. Then hit Save. And now you have a new group. So now my red group is automatically created. Do I need to go back over that process again?
And y'all also remember, when you go to the question mark, Active Classroom has really short videos that will walk you through this again.
Yes. All right. So that is how you create your groups. I'm going to show you the discussions. So back on my home page, we have a discussions icon. So the first thing you will see is the discussion boards created by assignment. So I said earlier, each assignment that you give to students, a discussion board will automatically be created, and this is where you will find them on your end. So for each activity, you have just a general discussion. So you can go in and respond. But then you also have a general discussion boards that you can create. So the first tab in the middle is by assignment. If you click on general, then you can create your own. So you would just hit create new forum. So let's see, let's say Dallas, save forum. Now I have a general discussion. And now you can respond back and forth. So on the forum, you can talk whatever question you want, whatever topic you want. And now you can host a virtual discussion with your students. Any questions? All right, well, let's take about 15 to 20 minutes. You should be logged into your teacher account, and we'll give you about 15-20 minutes to just explore Active Classroom on your own. You can look at the different activities, search for those activities. You can practice assigning a lesson if you would like, but just take this time to explore Active Classroom and what it has to offer. And me and Carol will be here. If you have any questions, please just chime in, let us know. There's not that many of us here, and so you can unmute yourself and ask. If you have a question about what a particular series title is, please let us know. So we'll give you to about 6:45 or 6:50 to work on your own. Carol, are you seeing any questions or anything?
No, ma'am, not at this time. You can also ask us questions, unmute yourself and ask a question. If there's just a comment or you're looking for something specific and you're not sure if there's a series maybe that would address what you're looking for, we'll be happy to help direct you.
And for those who are teaching sociology, psychology, I believe there's a drop-down box. You've probably found that already in the activities icon. So there's activities directed to that subject.
And in the series also, yeah. Just a reminder, when you find those activities you like, make sure you click the star so that you can remember where that activity was?
Thank you for reminding me about that, Carol, because I meant to show them how to get to those activities. So if you are on the activities page, you may have noticed already if you're searching, but you just hit the advanced button, and then there is a little box that says show only favorites. If you click on that, then hit the magnifying glass and you will see all the activities that you have favorited.
And Active Classroom is also building their current events series. So if you're wanting to tie in to some of the more recent current events, then that's a good place, a good series to look at as well.
Now I'll show you the professional learning page where you can find all those things. We'll give you about 5 more minutes to look.
If you teach world geography, there's a series called Zombie-Based Geography that the kids can have a lot of fun with.
Yes, I used that in my geography class when I taught it. I loved it. Decision making is another great one. It's great to use at the beginning of a unit. It allows students to make decisions about a problem in history, and then you reveal what actually happened after they make the decision.
Key decisions are very similar to that too. So those are good. I love these ones where they decide before they know, just to tease their.
Trying to think of some of my other go-tos.
Well, and the simulations can be fun. You can assign those parts out, especially is it cultural conflicts? Is that the one I'm thinking of? Yes. Those are really good too. You get a scenario and then you have different people and it explains who that person is. Let's say that I have an issue, I'm the scenario, then someone might be my mother, my father, a friend, a friend of the family, a business person, and then they have to respond to the scenario based on who they are to that child or adult.
Mhm.
My kids love them because they're short and sweet, but they all get to, that it's so important for the kids to discuss and listen. David, I'm not sure I understand your question. How does presentations work in maps? What, can
Oh,
you clarify that a little bit?
did you go to the maps icon here?
I went to the maps icon and there's a thing that says presentations. And it looks like you can have my presentations, shared presentations, new edit. So what
Oh,
is
the mapping.
Okay, so students can create their own presentations within the mapping icon. So they can click on the little computer icon here, new edit presentation. They'll name it, not school shirts or homeroom, but maybe US. And so now they can create their own presentation. Maybe there's something specific that you want them to research or to plot on the map. So you will see that this slide is first, it's almost like a PowerPoint. So they mark it up how they want to with the toolbar here. So they can type. They can use a pencil to kind of sketch out distance. Here's what that ruler is for. So we've sketched it out. So here is 2,333.25 miles. They can also pin a location. And this function is pretty neat. They can, here they can add a path to a video. So if there's a YouTube video, maybe they're presenting about a particular state or something, or a particular landmark, they can get a YouTube video and they can put the link here and it will save there. So just hit save. And then that will be embedded with their presentation.
And how do they share the presentation with me, or how do I know they've done it so I can go and grade it? And
Okay.
Was it
So
live or?
they'll save it and they can add more slides if they need. And then share teachers. And then they choose the teacher. So they can choose you and then they share it with you.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And David, there are a lot of pre-made ones as well that you can assign to students, and it'll guide them through with icons, and not just creating is great. There are some that have already been done though, a whole slew that you can choose from for the kids.
Okay, okay, good, good.
All right. Are there any other questions before I show you the professional learning page? All right. When you are on your home page, we do have professional learning for you. So if you click on professional learning icon, mine always takes just a little bit to load. The first thing that you will see is our new micro credentials. I have not actually done one of these before. Carol, have you?
I have. I've done the one for the adult learning theory.
Okay. Would you like to explain your experience with that?
Well, it's really just they give you assignments to do, and you do them, and then they if you're doing a presentation, then you just show the evidence of the presentation you've done, and then you can actually come back and you can earn a badging credential.
And
And
it
then,
should take around 15 hours to complete. I believe isn't that, did it take you that long, Carol?
you know what? This was about 2 years ago I did that one, so I don't remember how long it took. I don't remember
I've been
being
told it's about 15 hours, but it's very flexible. You can complete them whenever you want. So we have those micro credentials, and you get a badge when you all have completed them. And then we also have webinars. So there's one actually tomorrow. I am giving this one, the Make Distance Learning a Success. This one's just on general virtual teaching tips. So for all the webinars that are coming up, you can register here. And then all the past webinars, you can watch them. And then there are some courses. So you can take Active Classroom 101 and 102. You can launch those and take them on your own time when you want.
I did those also, 101 and 102. It really takes you through, if you're not really good or feel comfortable about how to interact with Active Classroom, then these are good little courses to take.
And then finally is our help page. So again, in the top right corner, we have our question mark. Here is our digital book, Active Classroom User Guide for Teachers. So it looks similar to the student. It just has more content for you. You can flip through it. And it will pretty much go over everything we've talked about this evening. And go back to the help page. Here are our video tutorials, student help videos, and then frequently asked questions.
Notice how short the videos are though. They're like 38 seconds or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
These are not lengthy 10-minute videos for you and the students. They're really quick and to the point.
Right. And what I love is this series in Active Classroom. This tab actually goes in and describes each series. So you get just a little bit more information about which one is. And then finally, we have our, like what I said, our Contact Us button. And here you can choose a topic and you can email directly to our help desk. And again, they are very quick about getting back.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Carol, do you have the link to the evaluation?
Yes. Let me grab it.
Julie, go ahead and copy and paste that into the chat box. So Carol is going to be doing that. So I hope you enjoyed this training this evening. I know that was a lot of information that we threw at you. Again, this is being recorded so you can go back and view it later. You have that help page, but I hope you can go in feeling a little bit more confident, comfortable in using Active Classroom. Do we have any more questions before we leave this evening?
And when you fill out your evaluation, Jessica Hayes has been your facilitator this evening. Thank you, Jessica. I think you were really responsive to what the group was looking for. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Carol. You were a great help.
I just want to say thank you to both of you for hosting and presenting this very valuable information for us today. I know I appreciate it. I just, again, thank you for your time, and teachers, I thank you for your time as well today. So I hope that you're able to take some of this great learning and able to apply it starting tomorrow with your classes. And please spread the word about how great Active Classroom is, and to dive in and to teach others what you've learned.
Thank you so much for having us this evening.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you, Heather.
Mm-hmm.
And Dallas ISD.
Yes. Please make sure that you fill out the survey. We are also going to use that for your attendance today as well. So you will receive credit for learning and being with us today. For a deeper dive into Active Classroom, we are hosting sessions in October as well. So get a feel for Active Classroom, and then join us back here on October 8th or October 22nd for a deeper view into Active Classroom and all the great things you can do with it.
And y'all, I really want to encourage you to attend the webinars. My teachers are learning so much from the webinars. They're really enjoying them. I encourage you to attend those.